Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, he's a lot more. I mean, in Street Fighter 4, Ryu is like he's really well balanced in the fact that like he has a lot of options in terms of like doing offensive gameplay, and he also has a lot of counterplay, like with his super or his Shoryu. Some good damaging combos. Whereas Ryu in this game, it's a lot more trickier. You have to play him a lot more solid. So you have to because of the parry system, it's a lot easier for him to get cornered, for him to just simply get beaten out by certain things. Because the majority of his normals are one-hit normals, and if he tries to Shoryu or something, it's kind of not worth it because he can just get parried once to punish. So the best super you would want to use in this game, it would be Denjin. But if you want to play more solid, you would pick Shinku, just for the easy hit confirm. But Denjin, obviously, you can't block it, so it makes it a lot harder to deal with, especially with the stun gauge. So you make sure you just want to build your meter, and always want to make sure that you get max distance everything. So something like low roundhouse or something. Standing forward is really good for him. Whoosh. And you always have the option to jump backwards too. So you have a lot more mobility with this type of Ryu compared to Street Fighter 4, for obvious reasons. Oh nice, and here we go with the dungeon. And look at how much life I got, just from that. Oh my gosh, he just did it too. Dash forward. Ah! Just push him back with this move. And Tekken is a lot easier in Street Fighter 4 compared to this. So you have to make sure that you get your timing for the tech right. It's mostly just anticipation. You can't just like tech. Compared to what other two? I'm not sure what you mean.
Prepare to strike now.
Really? Just do it. If I was to do a comparison in terms of who's the better character, I would say Ryu in Street Fighter 4. Because the fact that you can just Shoryu for an anti-air and it does a chunk of amount of damage and you can get so much life off of it, it's a lot more useful in that game than it is here. So his fireball game is a lot better too. The parry system really nullifies a lot of things that are normally good in conventional Street Fighter. You have a lot more mobility though in Third Strike, so that's a good thing. But the basic weaknesses still apply. So although Ryu can actually move a lot more compared to Street Fighter 4, the parry really exposes a lot more weaknesses than they should. So it's a lot tougher to play. But if you really want to, if you really want to play a solid character that's similar to Ryu in that sense, where you would get good damage off of a simple hit, would probably be Ken. So obviously, because majority of the characters who have a long range normal that you can hit confirm. So for example, Chun-Li with her low forward super, Ken with his low forward super, Akuma with his low forward super. Basically, if you can get a good setup or a good damage off of a long range normal like that, then you're probably going to be one of the higher tiers in the game. So it makes it a lot more easier. Whereas with Street Fighter 4, if you just have proper space control with your character, then you can basically dominate the entire match. Not to mention the fact that it's a lot more defensive, but whatever, who cares? And it's pretty laggy over here. So as you can see, it's not really easy to get proper damage. The only way I'm getting my damage off is by using Denjin, and that's one of the reasons why this is considered one of his best supers, or his best super technically. It's the only way he gets good damage off of a knockdown. So. But with Super 1, you actually get more utility with the ZXs, so that's okay. And he also has this kick, his Jouden kick, which if the EX version hits, you can do a wall juggle, which is pretty nice. Come on. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I'm doing my best. And there's the wall juggle for extra damage. He has an EX. So yeah, it's you have to play a lot more solid, but I mean solid in the sense that you have to place your normals much better than you would in Street Fighter 4. Whereas with your mobility, you can actually move around a lot more and just, if you jump, you can buffer parry a lot. If you stand still, you can walk and block and buffer parry too. So whichever one works for you, it doesn't really matter. Really?
Fighters ready. Engage.
And the only time Fireball is actually good in this game is when nobody has any meter. Because there are certain characters that can super through Fireballs. Or just parry then punish. So for example, low forward Fireball can be an easy parry. And it can be punished a lot easier. Especially at my level. So you gotta really be careful with that. And I got the knockdown. The funny thing about Ryu in this game though is that majority of his matchups are actually 5-5. So, except it's only against the top tiers that it's a little more difficult, but against every other character it's about 5-5. And as you can see right there, I got the parry right there and I could have punished. And that's what I was talking about, so. Come on. Well, his matchups are 5-5, meaning if he was to play 10 games against any character, he would win 5 and he would lose 5. Which means you know, he's a pretty well-rounded character if you can establish that. And I think the best reason why he gets 5/5 against majority of the cast is because of his supers. Majority of his supers, like, you can use for a wide range of situations. So for example, Shinku, it's really EX based, and you can get a good hit confirm off of it with low short short. With Shinchoryu, against the characters that have less health than normal, you can get strong damage off of it. And with Denjin, obviously you can't block, so it builds up stun meter, so you can get a chunk of damage off of it. So because of those three supers and how easy they are to be used in, you know, in different situations. No, it's mostly at like high level kind of thing. So if you were to play high level Ryu versus high level like Akuma, it would probably be about 5/5. Just because of what works and what doesn't, and how easy it is to get damage off of a certain character. So for example, with Akuma, his health is really low. So if I was to get one Denjin off of him, he would probably be dead. He's almost dead, but whatever. You get it. You get the idea. So, I mean, obviously the matchups change if you were to play a high level versus a low level player. So if I was to play like a lower level Akuma player, it would probably be like Sf4 Ryu. But at the highest level, that's how the matchups are determined. I could have tattooed that. Push him into the corner. That too. It can also. It doesn't have to be based on tournament results. It can be based on, you know, just the overall consensus of how well a character does against another. So, for example, if there's like a bunch of players that play Ryu, and there's a bunch of players that play Dudley, if the majority of people who play Dudley say that Ryu is not that hard, then the matchups change. The matchup will be in Dudley's favor. So it's based on, you know, how well the character fights against the others. So for example, Ryu has better tools than Remy because he gets off a lot more damage. So for example, in that matchup, it would probably be in Ryu's favor, especially with the Denjin, because Remy actually has lower stun than... He actually has the lowest stun compared to Akuma, so... Actually, it's the same exact stun, actually. So Remy and Akuma have the lowest stun in the game, so if you get caught with one Denjin setup, that's a bunch of life, and basically dead. So... I apologize if it's a little too complicated. I'm trying to make it sound as simple as I can. So, oh, trust me, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be playing this game. And it's a shame that everybody sees that parry done, but nobody actually plays this game either. If it was another time, the amount of people that would be playing Third Strike right now would be a lot. But yeah, also it's a super, not an ultra. FYI.
Into the heat of battle. Go for
it. And he can combo after that. He can do a somersault after the grab. And I don't know why he did not do that. And here's the Denjin setup. And he's dead. Ah, okay, okay. Just clearing up some things. And I think I might lose this next one. It's okay, everybody has to learn something new. Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I've been playing this game for the longest of time, so... If it wasn't for Daigo parrying that super, and if it wasn't for Justin committing to the super, I probably wouldn't be playing. Oh, pick your character, you're gonna lose anyways. Oh, you're stupid. Sorry for my trash talk, I know this guy in person. Yeah, it's tough to find like the older games on Twitch, especially something like Alpha 3. I mean, that's a gem right there. I mean, to find a really good player to play something like Alpha 3, it's not really likely, unless you ask like someone like Justin to play it for you. I thought I had it. And I made him waste the super. Ish. That's true. And that's one of the reasons why Ryu has a... Ah, I missed it. And that's one of the reasons why Ryu actually has a tough problem against certain characters that excel in the corner, because he doesn't really have any moves that he can use to like get out. So for example, if he just does a Shoryu, a simple parry into a punish or something will put him in a bad position. So that's why characters that excel in the corner are better than him. So he has to play a really solid ground game. But then again, the same can be said for a lot of characters, so... But also the fact that there is no FADC in this game really makes it a lot harder to play a good defensive game. Because it's not so easy to attack, and it's not so easy to guard. And you actually have to block everything because of the red parry. This game allows you to let go of block in the middle of a move, so you'll be able to parry in between for a counter. Whereas in Street Fighter 4, if you guard something and it's a move that has extra hits, and as you can see I did it right there. If it has extra hits, then it'll just automatically block, which is not desirable because you can get chipped easily. So instead of having a reliance on a revenge meter or something like that, the parry system really makes it an even playing field for every character, which is one of the reasons why this game is a lot more appealing to some people. Well, in certain cases, when it comes to like the comeback factor, you would have to really know how to read somebody. But when it comes to something like being chipped out, you just simply need like the dexterity to do it. So if somebody's gonna try to do a super on me, and I know I can survive the first hit, but I can red parry the rest, it's a simple matter of just getting the timing right. There's no reading involved. There's nothing else involved when it comes to that. So, but I mean, that's at face value. I mean, when it comes down to it, when you get to a higher level, the reading, it comes naturally. Because you just base it off of space. For example, if I'm like this much screen away, a down parry is the best option. Because obviously you're trying to undermine the whole low forward and low roundhouse aspect. And especially in this matchup, Akuma doesn't really have any long range normals like that. So it's always nice to buffer parry like this. Well, knowing the amount of hits, you mean? Yeah, you would need to know that, but I mean, the more you play, the easier it will be to figure that out. So if you play a lot, then you'll understand how many hits something has, and you'll be able to counter it a lot more easier. But then again, I might just be misunderstanding you. I don't know what you mean by levels. But of course, I'm just doing my best to explain this game. So, don't be, you know, if you're new to Third Strike, don't be afraid to test it out, just because of the parry system. You know, you always want to give everything a chance, and I guarantee you that if you're coming from Street Fighter 4 and you play this game and you take it seriously, you will become 10 times better in Street Fighter 4 than you would ever hope to be. Simply because of the amount of skill that you get from playing this game. Transitioning to Street Fighter 4, it becomes a lot more useful, so especially reactionary wise. So if you have bad reactions now, playing this game will allow you to get better in that aspect. Oh, actually, no, it's just high or low. But there's some moves in this game that can be parried both high and low, so you don't really have to worry too much about it. But again, generally most supers are parried high, but there are some supers that can be parried low, but just for an extra option. I mean, you don't have to do it. The only difference is some hits might be a little different, or some hits might be a little harder to parry because of the character sizes. So, for example, one general example is with Chun-Li's super. Obviously, in the Daigo parry video, Ken was able to parry the super 7 times on both sets. Whereas if you use a character like Hugo or a character like Chun-Li, you would actually have to parry the super 8 times, which is something that you'll notice when you play it, but it's just a general idea that you have to keep in mind. So, but I mean, it's little things like that will will come naturally. You know, if you do some research on this game, you'll find that out pretty easily. And again, it's just high and low that you have to parry. There's no in between. Actually, technically there is, because you can parry both. There are some normals that you can parry both high and low. For example, if you wanted to parry something like a jab or a standing short, you can parry that both high and low. Don't ask me why, it's just the way they created the game. But yeah, any standing jab or standing short can be parried both high and low, so that's just something to keep in mind. No, don't listen to that. That's not a pro tip at all. A pro tip would be hit confirm super, not just low forward super. I know, I'm kidding too.
Wait, Alex Blair, oh, Alex Blair.
But anyways, yeah, I'll be playing on Xbox Live soon. Maybe a little bit later. Once I'm done with this lobby or something, I'll probably play on Xbox. Everybody's been asking for it, so thought I'd give it a try. Ah, my gosh. And that's another thing that makes this game a lot different than Street Fighter 4. I mean, the whole aspect of guest pairing on Wake Up, if you have good reads, like if you know somebody's gonna do something, like I recognize that a lot in Street Fighter 4, where people would say, "Oh my god, I knew you were gonna do that." Well, if you knew somebody was gonna do that in Fair Strike, you can counter it. Plain and simple. You don't have to worry about it. All you have to do is parry somebody, and that's it. You punish them for their stupid mistake. And that's one of the appealing factors of Fair Strike for most people. And believe it or not, a lot of Street Fighter 4 players have that ability where they can just read somebody pretty easily, but they choose to play a lot more defensive, which is pretty odd. Ah, no, I missed the parry. Oh well.
Let's get it. More legend.